If you're anything like me, you saw a new game called Palworld came out and you wanted to check out what all the hoo-ha was all about, and your family hasn't seen you since you started playing. Now, Palworld is a game that some people have explained as Pokemon, but with guns. Palworld is a game who's taken the gaming industry by storm. It's sold over 5 million copies in just 3 days. They keep posting all over their Twitter about how they've sold so many copies, and they have like the 3rd most concurrent game players in Steam history. And the whole thing is just, it's blowing up. It's huge. And an interesting thing about Palworld that there's also a lot of talk about how Nintendo is coming for them and Nintendo is going to get their money. And now I kind of do think that there is some things going on, because if I were to explain Palworld to you, I would explain it to you as a company developed a game that just copied someone else's homework, but made it different enough to where the teacher won't know, right? Now, to be fair, I find the game very fun. I've been enjoying it a lot, but there are a lot of comparisons that people have made to make you kind of go, I don't know. But we can't really be surprised, because 2 years ago, they released a trailer and we kind of already knew what we were getting into with this game coming out, which was Pokemon with guns. Now, we'll get more into kind of those comparisons, kind of like the potential legalities later in this video. But if you haven't played Palworld yet, basically when you start the game, you make your character and you get to create this kind of amalgamation from Attack on Titan looking creature, this evil looking being that's consumed souls, which you're going to do plenty of that when you play this game. And then you wake up on a beach, you're randomly washed up onto shore, and you're surrounded by these cute little pals. So you go around, you pick up sticks, you pick up rocks, and you get this little prompt that tells you to make like a crafting bench. So like, your Rust, your Minecraft, your Ark, the typical thing you get in all those games where you make your bench and you make your items, you make your pick and all that stuff. And you make your first sphere, and you go and you punch the crap out of a pal. A little cute sheep's like, "No, not me, please. Who are you, evil creature?" And you throw your sphere at him, suck him up, and he's your best friend forever. And he will die for you, quite literally. Not really. Whenever they go down, they have like little squiggly eyes, like they've been knocked out, so you don't really kill them. But there is an item, a butcher's knife, where you can butcher them and get part. But anyway, I digress. So they got this very large world that you can go explore. There's several different starting areas you can start at. But after you kind of get past that initial starting create your bench, you get to set up a base, a home base, and there's this whole base building thing. And a really cool part is the pals that you catch, you can use them to help you build your base. So they'll get out and they'll chop wood for you, and they'll move things around, and they all have like little specific things they can do in their job, and they're just super happy to do it. Once you're finished creating your base and you're outfitted, you're ready to go out and explore the world. You're ready to go out there and catch more pals, bring them back to your house so they can get to work. And one criticism of the game that I've seen people make on the internet is comparing it to, slavery. This is that Pokemon game, but with slavery, right? I was like, what do you mean Pokemon on that concept? That's what they're doing already. Like you just basically said that slavery game was slavery. Like what are you talking about? Well, that's what I thought, until I figured out that you could actually catch the humanoids in the game and put them to work also. So there was real slavery in the game. Last time I played the game, I couldn't catch them. It wouldn't let me. I don't know if I was glitched or if they patched it out, but either way, you were able to catch the humans and like put them to work. And I guess maybe that's bad. Ooh, don't do that. But you got these friendly, cute creatures that are just living in their own world that you've caught, and now you're putting them to work. And I mean that's okay. Whatever. Anyway, I digress. That is the main loop of gameplay, is going out exploring, catching more. You find more in different areas. There's a leveling system. You get higher levels. You get bigger things you can catch. There's dungeons you can explore. There's bosses. The world itself is pretty well laid out. Like places are pretty diverse where you go, and they have little boss areas, and there's fast travel. It's interesting to just go out and explore. You can also catch some that'll let you fly, and you can just fly all over the place, which is pretty awesome. Things I like about the game, things I enjoy about Palworld, is that the core concept is fun. What you're doing, going out there and catching these creatures, leveling them up, using their friends to combine them to make one even stronger. That whole gameplay loop is a lot of fun to me. One thing that is cool about Palworld that's different from Nintendo is definitely like the lore of the pals. There's one who's like a samurai, but when he dies, he turns into the sword and for like the new generation to use. But if someone else uses the sword, it drives them insane. And then there's also this one right here, this nice pink one who, if you read her description, it talks about how she's up to devious acts, right? And she used to only be doing the naughty with other pals, but now she's also into humans as well. And there's this big raid called like the Fangirl Attack or something like that, where she comes and wrecks your base, and it's it's interesting. A lot of the areas feel unique, like you need certain equipment to go to different areas, so there is a little bit of a system of like, you can't go there yet because you don't have the equipment, and also you will die because these guys are twice your level. And the best way to play Palworld is definitely with friends. If you have a group of people to play, you can all get in there and play together. 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. It's a whole lot of fun. But there's also things that I don't like. One thing that I don't like with the game, and most of these things I'm going to talk about are going to be fixed since it is an early access, I hope. But one thing I don't like is the game gets very, very, very grindy. After you get to about level 20 to 30, it slows way, way down, and it's pretty hard to level without just catching pals over and over and over and over again. It just comes to almost like a halt when it comes to experience. And you need to be higher levels to be able to have a better catch rate catching certain pals, and to, your own pals leveling up so they can fight against them. It slows down, in my opinion, too much. It needs to be rebalanced a little bit so that it's more of a smooth curve instead of a flat, Another thing I don't like is dungeons are kind of pointless after you get to a higher level. Like when you get to around 20, 30, there's no point of going into dungeons anymore. They have like boss pals at the end of them where they're like kind of big and you can catch them, and they are big when you release them, which is cool. And they have like slightly buff stats, but it's really nothing else in there right now. You can find some treasure chests that have some mundane items that you really don't care too much about. And there's some nodes that you can also find out in the world if you explore. So just kind of really no point of going into dungeons later on, and hopefully they address that. You can't goddamn see at night. When it's dark in that game, it's dark. It is dark. Now, if you can fly and you can go like up and look out, it's a beautiful world, and you can like see the little dots of things you can go out there and collect, and that's awesome. But just if you're on the ground walking, you don't know if you're walking over the edge or not. Now, there is like a little hip lantern you can get later on in the game, which helps a little bit, but you're still it's kind of like you're playing that old Dark Souls level where you go down into like the underground, and like the big bad gorilla skull monster things are there and you can't see them right in front of you, It's very similar to that. And the single shot sphere launcher is absolutely useless. I unlocked this thing. I was like, I'm about to shoot spheres across the map. I'm going to be catching pals left and right. Boom, boom. And I shot it, and it was just like a limp. Like my guy can throw the spheres further than this big launcher that I spent a whole lot of iron and stuff to make. Very disappointing. So at this point, I don't really like to give numbers, but if I was to give a number, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 right now. The fun factor is definitely there. There's a lot of good stuff. And if they just kind of fix the grindiness of it and just add a little more point to a lot of things that you are doing, which I'm sure they will, because like I said, it is an early access still. This is the first release of it. Once they get that done, yeah, it's going to be good. But will it make it that far? Will there be legal issues? So a lot of people talk about how they are plagiarizing Pokemon. They are too close to Pokemon. And as a lot of you know that play a lot of video games, is that there are a lot of games that are very similar to Pokemon already that exist, that have not been taken down by Nintendo, nothing's been happening to them. Like there's Monster Sanctuary, and there's Temtem, there's quite a few others. So there's a post on Twitter where someone has taken a lot of the pals and compared them to what the Pokemon that they would look like and put them side by side so that you can see. And it does look like, to me, it kind of looks like someone put that Pokemon in like a generative AI program and was like, make something that looks like this, but not quite that, and make it a little different. And that's kind of what you got, which has been a critique from people for some of the game creators that they've used generative AI. I don't really care too much that AI is getting into games, if it is, because I don't know for sure if it is, but it's going to go that way anyway. As long as the game's fun, whatever. But Nintendo may not like it. I don't personally think Nintendo is going to get them with the alleged plagiarism of Pokemon. I think if anything happens, it's going to be Nintendo getting them for audio and font and visuals from Breath of the Wild. Now, just hear me out for a second. Look at the title, the title of Palmon, and then look at Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's pretty similar. Now, is that really enough? No, I don't think so. But when you're going through the game and you get to these fast travel locations, they unlock on the map, and it kind of makes these noises, and they made me reminisce of of Legend of Zelda. And then, just to defend Palmon, it is nothing like Breath of the Wild. Just because I can go to the top of this tower, look out, have a similar view of what I would in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's not the same. I can jump off and glide down, which is a completely unique experience with my glider. Oh, gosh. Like I said earlier in this video, Palmon is definitely a game where they played other games and just took the best parts and tried to change them up enough to where they wouldn't really get in trouble. But I mean, because, you know, you can say all video games are the same at some level. And that's true. They are. They have to kind of be built from previous fun things. It's very hard to come up with a completely unique idea of a video game these days, and it'd be just a banger, right? Like even like Among Us is a very popular game, and that's just based off of like the old werewolf or mafia games, or Town of Salem, and just, you know, things like that are built off of its predecessors. But the question is, is it just a little too close? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if Nintendo is going to do anything at all. And I think that if the game wasn't as successful as it is, they definitely wouldn't have. But now that it's like selling millions of copies a day, that they may be like, hold on a second. A lot of people, I've seen posts about people saying, "Oh, I thought this game was Pokemon. What? Who's making this?" And people playing the game on Steam being like, "Oh, I got a new Pokemon." I do it. Everybody does it. And I think that Nintendo is going to hear this because Nintendo doesn't like fun. Everybody knows Nintendo doesn't like fun. That they go to their own sanctioned tournaments and ruin them. You know, they are like the anti-fun. What they care about is protecting their IPs and just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's what Nintendo is these days. Is they just keep playing off that nostalgia, and they're like, yeah, it's for the kids, even though people my age are the ones buying all the games. Anyway, I digress. That is my review of Palworld, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I give it 8 toasts out of 10. It's a lot of fun. Still has a lot of work to be done to it, but I'm hopeful for the future if it survives. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. So my friends. Love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.